Yeah. And I think now, okay, you are welcome. And I think now, so you are welcome. And I think now what is going to be very clear. So please, can you see the board now? So as we said now, actually, we started with the types of lipids. We started with the different types of lipids. So we say that lipids are divided into three. We have dry lipids, we have simple lipid, and we have the complex lipids. So we have number one, we have simple lipids. Number two, we have complex lipids. And then the number three, we have derived lipids. So we are going to start with the simple lipids. So simple lipid is divided into two. We have two types of simple lipid, or example of simple lipid. We have triacyl glycerol, and we have waxes. So now we are starting with the triacyl glycerol. Please, I hope you are seeing the board. Are you seeing the board? Are you seeing the board? Those that are online, clear. So I hope the board is clear now. Are you clear with the board? Is the board clear? Okay, so excellent. So as we are saying, we have, as we defined a lipid, so now we are going to look at the different types of lipids. We have simple lipids, we have complex lipids, and we have dry lipids. So starting with the simple lipids, in a simple lipid, we have triacyl glycerol and we have waxes. So we are starting with the triacyl glycerol. So triacyl glycerol is a lipid that made up of glycerol and three fatty acids. So triacyl glycerol, in some other way, we can simply abbreviate it as TAG. TAG. TAG stands for triacyl glycerol. And this triacyl glycerol is made up of one glycerol, it's made up of one glycerol plus three fatty acids. Plus three fatty acids. So, what is the structure of the glycerol? A glycerol is a three-carbon compound. It's a three-carbon compound that have three OH group. It has three OH group. So it has three OH group. And of course, as we said, that triacyl glycerol is made up of one glycerol and three fatty acids. So now, For the fatty acid, what is the functional group of fatty acid? The functional group of fatty acid is the same thing as that of the carboxylic functional group. So in the case of carboxylic functional group, we have RCOOH. This is the functional group of carboxylic group. So in triacyl glycerol, we can have the same fatty acid to esterify three different OH groups from the glycerol. And we can have three different fatty acids to esterify the glycerol. So now, if we have one fatty acid, how do they actually esterify? This is how they esterify. So we have carbon here, we have another carbon for the glycerol, and then another carbon for the glycerol. So if we already have OH group, so it can form something like this. Carbon to oxygen double bond, there is a carbonyl carbon, and then we have OR plus. So this hydrogen atom is removed. The hydrogen atoms from here is removed with this OH group to produce a water molecule at the end. So water molecules is generated. So if we have only one fatty acid esterify the glycerol, so we call it monoacyl glycerol. We call it monoacyl glycerol. We call it monoacyl glycerol. And if we have two fatty acids, like for example, another fatty acid here, let's say R1COOH. So if it esterify another OH group here, we will also have another OR here. So R1 is going to also release another molecule of water. So if you have two fatty acids, if it is two fatty acids that esterify, if it is fatty acid that esterify the two OH group, then it's called diacyl glycerol. If it is two OH groups, so we call it diacyl glycerol. Diacyl glycerol. And if we have three different fatty acids, another fatty acid here, RCOOH, esterify another OH group with the release of water molecule, then it is called triacyl glycerol. So I hope now you understand the differences between monoacyl glycerol, diacyl glycerol, and triacyl glycerol. So if it is only one OH group so if it is only one fatty acid that esterify one OH group, it is called monoacyl glycerol. And if you have two fatty acids esterify the two OH group, it is called diacyl glycerol. And if you have all the three fatty acids that esterify all the three OH group, then it is called triacyl glycerol. So now we need to understand the differences between these different types of fatty acids, because we are talking about fatty acid. So fatty acid is divided into two. We have different types of fatty acid. So this fatty acid is divided into two. We have what we call saturated fatty acids. We have So we have number one, we have saturated fatty acids. And number two, we have unsaturated so fatty acid is divided into two. So we have what you call saturated fatty acid and we have unsaturated fatty acid. So when you say saturated fatty acids, saturated fatty acid is a type of fatty acids that have all carbon to carbon. All the carbon to carbon in saturated fatty acid is single bond. But in the case of unsaturated fatty acids, between all carbon to carbon, there is at least one or two double bond. So saturated fatty acid between all carbon to carbon, they are made up of a single bond in the case of saturated. But in the case of unsaturated fatty acid, they have at least one or two double bond. So I hope you are clear now. So the saturated fatty acid, we have saturated fatty acid and we have unsaturated fatty acid. So let's look at the different types of examples of the saturated fatty acid and unsaturated fatty acids. So usually saturated fatty acid, most especially the fatty acids that are found in human. The fatty acids that are found in human. Okay, someone else. Okay, re-explain the unsaturated fatty acids. So when you said unsaturated fatty acid, I said they are fatty acids that have at least one or two double bond in them. Like for example, you can have, generally as I said, the fatty acid have R-COOH functional group. So this R is called alkyl group. The R here stands for alkyl group and it can be anything. So generally in a fatty acid we can have something like this. In a fatty acid you can have something like this: CH3, CH2, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because they actually have a very long, alkyl group. So let's look at this. You see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So generally, this is 13. So in fatty acids, especially in human, the fatty acids is usually in an even number form. So here we have 14 carbon. Okay, so what I'm saying for the saturated fatty acids, between all carbon to carbon, like for example, look at it here. This is a long chain fatty acid. The first one is methyl group CH3, and then we have CH2, 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 up to a point where we have COOH. So we have 14 carbon atoms. In the fatty acid. So in the case of saturated fatty acid, between all carbon to carbon in the saturated fatty acid, there is no double bond or triple bond. There is no double bond or triple bond. So that type of fatty acid is called saturated fatty acids. But in the case where we have between carbon to carbon in the fatty acid, there is at least one or two double bond. So that is described as unsaturated fatty acids. So these are the two types of fatty acids that we have. These are the two types of fatty acids that we have, especially in humans. So in humans, we usually have an even number fatty acid, not an odd number fatty acid. When we say odd number fatty acid, it can be 13 carbon, 16 carbon, 18, it can be 13, 11, 7, 9, they are all odd number. So in humans, we mostly or we usually have an even number of fatty acids. But in some bacteria and plant, you can get an odd number of fatty acids. But in humans, most of the fatty acid that we have is an even number fatty acids. So that is all we can say about a fatty acid. So we have different types of fatty acid and we have a way of naming fatty acids. So let us also discuss on that. So examples of the examples of fatty acid that we have something like palmitic acid. Palmitic acids. Palmitic acid is also another unsaturated. Is also another example of fatty acid that it has 16 carbon. It has 16 carbon. I think actually because of a lot of the problems today, I think we can have the lecture all that time. Yes. Thank you.